Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe it.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This isn't going away anytime soon. There's a big story by the Associated Press. Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, who ran the Trump campaign for 6 months back in 2006, had a $10 million a year contract with a Russian billionaire.
Really?
And his job was to promote the interests of Vladimir Putin. Now, he says while he did consult his Russian client on personal and business matters, his work did not involve representing political interests. Remember that Captain America movie a few years back when everyone in the government was a Hydra agent, and it seemed like, that would never... It's a documentary now, okay? And can you imagine, I was thinking about this last night, can you imagine what Donald Trump would be tweeting if President Obama or Hillary Clinton's campaign manager had a $10 million a year contract to promote the Russian government? He wouldn't know what to do. The words wouldn't even come out of his Twitter. He'd be so excited. He'd probably have to start using emojis. He'd tweet like bear, handcuffs, White House, prison bars, Russian flag, middle finger, devil face, babushka. He'd go completely off the rails. And I just want to say this.
A $10 million contract, Manafort, really? Oh, God. All right, so here's the breaking news. we need to, because breaking news shows up on internet searches more than non-breaking news, as you know. This is why after every commercial break, after every single commercial break, CNN, even if it's reporting stuff that happened Monday, goes, breaking news. Even if it's not. But there is real breaking news, and that is, don't say I didn't call a couple a time or two. You know, the big, today's the 7-year anniversary of Obamacare. Happy anniversary, everybody. To all the people who survived cancer and their kids got dental care and their kids got their glasses and are doing better in school because they could see the blackboard now because it's covered and all that, right? Today's the 7th anniversary of Obamacare, and they thought, won't it be great to have the repeal vote on the same day as the... And it's kind of very ISIS-like, do you know? It's very Al-Qaeda-y, where, you hope that something happens on an anniversary. Anyway, it isn't happening. They just pulled the bill. They pulled the bill. There will be no vote today. Yeah. Told you. Hate to say it. Hate to tell you. Somebody didn't tell Trump. I mean, how do I know all these things and he doesn't know? He was sitting with the truckers today. He had the truckers up to the White House. I don't know who the truckers are. My truckers would not go anywhere near the White House, I will tell you this. And the frozen trucker, which is all you can think of whenever he says trucker, because Gorsuch is up on Capitol Hill being reversed in real time, being reversed by the Supreme Court, for whom he's applying for a job as a judge, as a justice. He's being overturned by the Supreme Court on a case having to do with a little autistic boy, where he said, public schools only have to do the bare minimum. And the Supreme Court said, what's wrong with you? Snap out of it, dude. Really, what's wrong with you? Overturned him in the middle of his confirmation here. Now, I actually broke, that story on the Twitters, and didn't really get reported all that much less. I don't know why that's not something. It's not breaking news. But Trump did not get the news either about stay away from truckers right now because Gorsuch was overturned. So I think CNN would have done a service to report that particular piece of news. And also they forgot to tell him that the vote wasn't happening today, because after they announced that, here's the order in which the announcements came from CNN. I recorded them for you, and they just happened like minutes ago. Okay, it's probably 12 minutes ago now, right? It's 10 after. 12 minutes ago. Okay, here's what happened at CNN.
That this all-important health care vote that was supposed to happen today being the 7th anniversary of Obamacare, the self-imposed deadline by Republicans, the vote has now been postponed.
And then they were talking about it, saying, oh, they don't have the votes, do they? They don't have the vote. And I told you, if you were a Republican and the Speaker of the House, the Paul Ryan, actually forced you to go on the record for a bill that didn't stand a chance in passing, just to get you on the record, with a president who has a 37% approval rating, when you have to start running for re-election now for 2018, with the Koch brothers breathing down your neck saying, if you don't vote no on this bill, we will primary you. Because the Koch brothers don't think it goes far enough, you know? They just don't. And the Koch brothers are the ones that pick the candidates for the Republican Party all the time. And so they said, you know, either the Club for Growth, the Heritage Foundation, Americans for Prosperity, they're all the expensive political networks that are, supported by the Koch brothers. And they all sent a message up to the Freedom Caucus, the Tea Party freaks, and they said, if you vote for this bill, because we want it repealed, we don't even want it replaced. We want it repealed, period, end of story. We want those tax dollars. We're the Koch brothers, damn it, right? And so they said, if there's any subsidies, if there's any Medicaid, if there's anything that costs any money in there, we're against it. So you better vote no. And they said, you know, we will be keying the vote. Keying the vote in Cokeland means we'll primary you. We're keeping track, and we'll primary you, right? And this always works. You know, they put up a primary challenger. They pour millions of dollars into that prior to never heard of person, and that person wins because they said they're going to put $400 to $500 million into the 2018 election. So that said, that's why the Freedom Caucus is like so scared to vote. Anyway, somebody didn't give the news to Donald Trump because after they announced that there will be no vote today on the healthcare bill, Trump was sitting meeting with the truckers, reading from a prepared speech.
Through day and night and all kinds of weather, truckers course the arteries of our nation's highways.
Ooh, coursing.
You carry anything and everything, the food that stocks our shelves, the fuel that runs our cars, and the steel that builds our cities. You think I wrote that? It's not bad. Save that. I want to save that paragraph for a book or something. But America depends on you. And you work very hard for America. Many of you spend weeks away from your families doing what can sometimes be a very difficult and dangerous job.
Frozen trucker.
But you take care of yourselves, you look out for your friends, and you don't stop until the job is done.
Frozen trucker.
Obamacare has inflicted great pain on American truckers. Many of you were forced to buy health insurance.
Why is that?
On the Obamacare exchanges. You experienced a crippling rise in premiums and a dramatic loss in options. And you just take a look at what's happened to the costs, and it's incredible. You look at what's going on with deductibles, where they're through the roof. So essentially you don't have it, because hopefully you'll never have to use it, because you won't have that kind of injury or sickness. So you know the problems. And it's put a lot of the trucking businesses out of business, which is pretty tough. In addition, many union drivers are slated to have their plans taxed to pay Obamacare, and they've been against it for a long period of time. And trucking companies that are considered large employers have to offer government-mandated health insurance. You have the mandate that just doesn't work for them. You're forced to do things that you don't want to do.
Employers don't have to offer health insurance anymore.
Repeal and replace.
What did you say?
The disaster known as Obamacare. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a very close vote.
Somebody needs to update his script. It's expired. That's like running expired copy, saying that there's an offer that doesn't exist anymore. It's as if I were running the Valentine's Day ad for Herky Jerky. And it's so past Valentine. He's expired, like a carton of milk. He's actually, so the announcement that there would be no vote came prior to let's go to the White House. The president is speaking, and they thought he would have a comment about how this bill is failing miserably, how he's lied to the American people and said, all these people were a no. Now they're a yes, and we're going to repeal and repeal. And he's sitting there after the announcement was made that they're pulling the bill from the floor. He said, today is the day we're going to repeal and replace Obama because it's been so cruel to you. Your employers have to, supply you with health insurance that doesn't work for them. It doesn't. We want to give your employers the opportunity to not offer a benefit that everybody has become accustomed to. You go to work for a larger company rather than for me, because a larger company will offer you health insurance. Me, I'm on the Obamacare. I'm one of the 10%. that doesn't get my health insurance through a large employer. Oh, it's unbelievable. So somebody needed to update him. Anyway, so Trump is warning the Republicans that their seats will be at risk if they don't vote for it, and the Koch brothers are warning them if they do vote for it, they will be primaried. So when you have a 37% approval rating, and the Koch brothers have $400 to $500 million that they're about to put into a primary, you got to kind of make a decision. Not based on what's good for your constituents, which is what they're all saying. Well, we come from very diverse backgrounds and our constituents all have different needs. Really, they're not human. Your constituents are different in that some need health care and others don't. That's interesting. I thought they were all humanoids. Apparently some conservative Congress members have a constituency of robots who, by the way, would still need maintenance. So, no, it's the Koch brothers versus Trump is what this is. So they're saying that there might be a vote tomorrow. Well, they being the White House. Now, I just checked in with the White House for you. I just played you what's going on at the White House. But there's a chyron that says, breaking news. On the CNN, and it says GOP source, no vote tonight on healthcare bill, and then they rotate it with one that says White House source, vote will be tomorrow. I don't know who the source is because we just went to the source, who's the president of the United States. Oh, by the way, I told you the president was the most conflicted president in history. This is just an aside, okay? This is just something to start your day, and then we'll get into the whole mess of what happened with Nunes and what he has and what he brought to the White House. Or was it the other way around? So the NSA, the GSA, the Government Services Administration, they're the people who control the lease for the old old postal building that Donald Trump is now. He's the tenant, and by virtue of being president, he's the landlord too. And, he put his own crony in there. He picked a guy from the campaign. I swear to God. He picked a guy who was on his campaign, a guy named Tim Horn. Now, if you look up Tim Horn in the body of an article, sometimes they'll have a clickable link, like I like to have that. So you have a clickable link, and if you click on Tim Horn's name in this article that is out here today from Politico, you get to his LinkedIn page. That's how new he is to government, okay? Doesn't even have a government email yet. Doesn't have any, there's no bio, he's just a guy who worked on the campaign, and Trump said, all right, you're going to go over to GSA. Why? Because GSA is going to decide whether or not I can be both the landlord and the tenant at the old postal building. And today, Tim Horn said, sure he can. Of course he can. So here you have the president being his own landlord. He is a tenant. He's leasing that old postal building. He's the tenant. And by virtue of being president, he's also the landlord. And of course, he gets to appoint the person who's going to decide whether or not that's cool, whether or not that's a conflict. And Tim Horn, who worked on the campaign, said, I don't see the problem between being both the tenant and the landlord. So I guess what I could do now is I could rent my house out to myself. And I don't know, what's the ramifications of that tax-wise? I mean, do I get a break? Do I lose of course I lose my mortgage interest deduction. But what do I get by being a tenant and a landlord? So anyway, he said today that, I got whiplash looking at this, but, I got to go for the president. I got to find for the president. So this guy, he was the Rocky Mountain Regional Commissioner of the Public Building Service. His voter registration does not indicate a party affiliation. However, he did work on the Trump campaign, and this is the job that he got for doing so. So there you have it. That's not going to be a conflict for him. Now, I'm gonna play something for you that's going to blow your mind. I think it's just audio. Hang on, where did I put it? Oh, it's just, maybe I'll take the break and then I'll play for you. It's the most amazing thing. It has to do with Devin Nunes. It has to do with the information that he has, where he claims that the Trump transition team, after the election, the Trump transition team was incidentally monitored. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody. So, of course, when I heard him say that, the Trump transition team, Trump officials were captured on some sort of a intelligence wiretap, the first question I asked was, well, who were they talking to? Nobody has asked that question. Don't you think that's a worthy question? How could they incidentally be picked up unless they were talking to somebody known to our intelligence agencies, like a foreign official that, would fall naturally under American surveillance? But nobody's asked that question. But then there's more. There's more to the story.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.